No, no license is required, no registration required. I paid $3,000, put in probably another $3 with a ground up rebuild.
A few $1,000s to buy, $5 an hour to run. This has got to be one of the cheapest aircraft out there.
I think it is.
Hey guys, BeSnappy here. I'm here with Mike and he's got this awesome plane behind us. We filmed Mike at Oshkosh in 2025 and it got millions of views. Alright Mike, what airplane is this?
This is a Quicksilver MX. This is a 1984 model, so it's 42 years old.
Wow.
And I've been the owner since 1993, so I've been flying it for 32 years.
What is the main feature of an aircraft like this, obviously being an ultralight?
The general criteria for ultralight has to be under 254 pounds, limited to 5 gallons of gas, single seat, and stall speed of around 28, and max level speed of around 64 miles an hour.
So you're telling me you don't need a license to fly one of those?
No, no license is required, no registration required, training highly recommended.
Yeah.
I cheated. I took 30 minutes of formal training, but I was in the Air Force and I had access to the C5 and 141 flight simulators, the $20 million ones. But being a single seat, sooner or later you have to do taxiing. And on one taxi pass, the plane said, I'm going, and I'm at 20 feet. So if you ever do that, never, never, never throttle back. Just let the plane settle down. I started doing some little crow hops. And then within 15 minutes, I did a full departure.
Is this the original engine?
This is a Rotax 377 type. Yep. 32 horsepower, single carb, but yes, original motor.
And it's also got a wooden propeller?
Wooden prop. That was made by Tennessee Propellers. That prop is also 32 years old. The original, when I bought this plane, it was worn out. It was just time to change it.
So you said it's $5 an hour to run. Is that just fuel or is that including the overall maintenance cost?
It's kind of a mix. It is fuel, but since I keep it in a trailer, my only other expense is the annual registration for the trailer, and that's $36.
So you're saying the only hangar that you need is a trailer? And are you putting it together every time you take it out?
I do. So the running joke is it gets a very thorough pre-flight. But the benefit of being in a trailer, this fabric is rated what they call sun hours. Whenever it's in the trailer, it's not exposed to UV rays and things like that. The previous set, that fabric was 32 years old and it was still in good condition. Wow. It was just showing it was faded and a bit oil stained, but they were still fully operational.
How long does it take you to put together the plane that's straight out of the trailer?
Funny thing on that is by myself, I can do it in about 50 minutes. With help, an hour and a half or more. In fact, one year at Oshkosh, it took 3 hours to put the plane together because people come up, they're interested in MXs and they have questions, or they have an MX and they ran into a problem and they see me and they go, oh, how did you solve this problem? I go, oh, let me show you. And I don't mind that one bit because I'm educating a fellow pilot or I'm introducing a potential pilot into ultralight.
Explain how the aircraft works. How do you control it? What are the foot pedals for?
Well, the foot pedals are spoilers on the wings, and I can use them for crosswind landing for the upwind wing, or if I'm coming in high, I can dump both spoilers. I can hit both pedals, spoilers come up on both wings, and I can come down quickly.
So that's crazy that an ultralight of this size has spoilers. Is that unusual for an aircraft like this?
Well, the MX design came out in the very early 80s, and an argument could be made even the late 70s. Adding things like ailerons would add weight, and at the time the restrictions probably wouldn't allow that. So the spoiler was the best option they had. And for this model, really, I don't need ailerons. I have my spoilers and I'm very happy with them. I have full control of the plane in the pattern.
Does the spoilers, if you're up there, can you also control the plane somewhat if you just put down one? Does it dip the wing?
I can. It would dip the wing. In theory, I could use the spoilers for steering. I've not tested that, but I know based on my knowledge of the plane, I could do that if I had to. In the unlikely event, say the connection between the stick and the rudder failed somehow, I could use the spoilers to steer.
You don't have any ailerons, so how do you actually steer the aircraft?
Well, the rudder action, it's a one-piece rudder, so as I'm turning, this design has a sharp dihedral, so as I hit rudder, it just naturally turns into the direction I'm wanting to go. So it's a natural coordinated turn without the need of ailerons.
So then how do you actually just control the rudder?
Well, the rudder's connected to the stick.
Hang on, so your stick is the rudder also?
Yes, it's a rudder and elevator, because we got the connection underneath here, and that runs through a Morse cable going to the left rear, connecting direct to the rudder.
So if when someone jumps out of a normal aircraft and gets into this, it's a bit reversed.
They would have a learning curve because the controls are totally unconventional.
Yeah, and it's also not a wire, it's actually just a big metal beam going all the way back to the ailerons.
Yes, for the elevator, it's just a long tube, and it even has a little cable so it keeps the tube from bouncing and accidentally striking the propeller.
I'm 6'2", so am I going to be able to get in, or how do I get in?
Well, it might be a tight squeeze. How I get in, I always start with left leg first to be on this side of the cables, then step over, and this is pretty solid, and then I just sit back and then feet up on the pedals. We'll try it on for size.
When you're sitting here, you just want to start it and go.
That'd be fun. Of course, they might frown here if we do it right in this spot.
Yeah, I might only get to do it once too.
A great deal of research went into the building of the MX, and I've seen videos online where massive amount of research they did to come up with this design. Geometry-wise, you'll see there's lots of triangles in this because that's one of the strongest structures.
How safe are this type of ultralights?
I feel they're very safe. Now, take for an example, there's what's called acceptable risk. Every day when we get in a car, we're taking the acceptable risk, driving at 60, 70 miles an hour, meeting people barely 10 feet apart. Looking at the engineering on this, I consider this a very acceptable risk and a very safe. This aircraft is rated for 4 positive Gs. The chances of me pulling 4 Gs in this are very, very slim because it's so slow. That gives me a lot of comfort knowing how strong this airframe is. Take, for example, each cable here is rated at 700 to 900 pounds each.
And look how many cables there are.
And there are 8 cables holding the 2 wings, and this is chromoly steel for this lower support bar. To break one of these, you have to really, really be doing something wrong or really, really stupid.
And what about landing one of these? Can you land on sand, grass, gravel?
I can land on just about anything. The preference is grass because it's a nice softer landing. Pavement I have done, but that just kind of wears the tires out. And so I'm more comfortable on grass. Sand, yes I can, but then it slings dirt everywhere, which I had my introduction to Sun and Fun yesterday morning with the dew and the dirt, and it's slinging up on the pod and in my face.
All right, Mike, I've talked to hundreds of pilots and heaps of ultralight pilots, and this has got to be one of the cheapest aircraft. So how much does it cost to actually buy one of these?
Well, back in '93, my wife gave me permission to start a project, maybe buy some plans or an engine or something. And we're at Oshkosh. My dad and I are walking the flight line, and we see this Quicksilver. It's for sale. The guy was asking $3,000. And so my wife is up at the Ultralight barn. My dad and I are negotiating, closing the deal, and she has no idea what's going on. So we close the deal, and I go, "Hun, I bought an engine. The airplane's attached. I'll be home in 3 days." And she ended up wandering the house for a couple weeks going, "My gosh, he did it. He really did it. Oh my God, what are we going to do?" So I spent a year doing a total rebuild. I paid $3,000, put in probably another $3,000 with a ground up rebuild, because on the used market, you want to keep in mind there's nothing on that plane more valuable than you. And when in doubt, I just replaced. On the used market, I've seen these as low as $1,500, as much as $8,000. So it's just a matter of looking it over, inspecting, and going, okay, that's the fair price, or well, let's negotiate this a little bit.
A few $1,000s to buy, $5 an hour to run. This has got to be one of the best aircraft out there.
This was the only way I could get into aviation. If I had to go and get a pilot's license and fly a Cessna or whatever, I wouldn't be flying. This was the only avenue for me.
And this is like real flying.
It is. I mean, I get picked on and poked at, and you're flying that little lawn chair with wings. If you compare side by side a Cessna and this MX, G strength, they're rated identical. This just looks a little spindlier.
Yeah.
And it is more sensitive to winds, but that's where it comes down to pilot decision making on what conditions to fly in and what not to. This was never intended for cross-country flying, although on a single tank, I can go up to 90 miles. And one time I hit 75 on one circuit. So it can go a long way if you really asked it to. I just prefer not to.
You got an amazing aircraft. I'm sure a lot of people are looking forward to see you fly here at Sun Fun, and hope you have a good time.
All right, thanks. I'm looking forward to flying.